Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Hahar Kulanu Echad.
Thank you for the opportunity of being able to address you on this momentous day when we have so many Yeshiva speakers involved. And I'm coming along as a little guy to say a few words. We're ready now for the Yontif of Shavuos, Baruch Hashem. Shem Shavuos will be in a couple of days. And the theme of the entire symposium is Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged, the Hahar Yisrael. They rested by Har Sinai. Vayachanu, they stopped by Har Sinai. Klal Yisrael's one. Rashi, famous Rashi over there. Ki Echad b'leiv echad. Klal Yisrael came as one person and one heart. I have a very, very close friend, a dear friend of mine who's a Rosh Yeshiva. He's a Rosh Yeshiva in a famous yeshiva. I'll leave his name out. And he told me the very, very following interesting story. His first wife was very, very ill. And he, as a good husband, took care of her. Whenever she went to the hospital, he stayed with her for hours and days on end. He didn't leave her side. Take care of her. Which is the right thing, by the way. There's the tshuva, by the way. I think it's on Reish or Pei in Archaim. Tshuva's Chasam Sefer, which says there, he writes over there to someone, I apologize, I didn't get to answer your tshuva till now, only because my wife has been sick and she's resting in the room where the library is farm on. In order for me to write the tshuva to you, I have to go into that room and I can't do it. I'll wake my wife. I can't do it. Imagine if some Sefer writes, I can't walk into the room when my wife is resting because I might wake her, which is the way it should be. So this friend of mine was in the hospital, and that year, she was nifter around Hanukkah time, I believe. This was Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, he was there staying with her, and it was more important to him to stay with her on Yom Kippur. Agav, no other line. There were no minyanim. My mother's yard site was Yud Beis Zir, no minyanim, so I didn't daven for the Yomit. The Shabbos before I only daven Musaf. And Maftir in Yeshiva where I am. That's it. That's my mother would want, to do the right thing. Jedenfalls, he stayed in the room, and then, just around Nila time, his wife fell into a very deep slumber, very deep sleep. And he felt he can go out for a while. They were in Mount Sinai Hospital. He felt he can go out for a while because she's not going to wake him for a while. He knew his wife well by then. And he went to they have a very, very nice chapel there. The rabbis, on Shabbos and Yom Tov can't be there. They're regular people with families. So Shabbos and Yom Tov, they're not there. There were 30-something people in the room. And he walked in before Nila, everybody sitting there. And like he says to me, my chaver says to me, people were there now because of Shver Matzavim. There were two happy people, he told me, in the room, two of them. Who were the two people? Both had babies that day. Besides for that, it was a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a son, a daughter, a son. People at Sabrachan. And they're sitting in a hospital room. They're sitting in a hospital room with them all day long. They went out to daven a little bit. And the little Chassidish Yidl, a very short fellow, gets up right before Nila and he says to everybody who's gathered over there, would you mind if I would speak before Nila? The speech before Nila is normally the rabbi's place to die. I speak every year in Yeshiva. It's the rabbi's place to give a drasha before Nila. And he says, would you mind? And everybody said, certainly, go ahead. Our pleasure. And he gets up and he says, something? We've been here in this place together for so many months, many of us. We have such wonderful friends here. We've made such wonderful friends here. We all get along wonderfully. All kinds of people. There's Chassidish like me. There's Litvisher, there's young Israel types, there's modern Jews. And we all get along. We have no problem. Because we're in a tzara. You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that after we all leave, for better or for worse, very often, we're going to go right back to being our silly, petty selves, fighting with each other. That shouldn't happen. This is what this Yidla said. Let's make sure when we leave here, make up our minds, we are not going to be the petty fighters and arguers, machlekes and Klal Yisrael. He finished the speech, they daven Nila. So my chaver says to me, what the Rav Yaakov, he says to me, Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Hahar. And when they jumped into the Yam Suf, they wasn't Kish Echad b'leiv echad. When they were surrounded by the Mitzrayim, when they were running towards the Yam Suf, it wasn't Kish Echad b'leiv echad. That was the first time Klal Yisrael was one heart, one person. Zicha they were there when they were going into the Yam Suf, they were scared and holding on to each other. Sagt my chaver, it's very easy to be Vayichan Yisrael when you're all in trouble. When the matzav is bad, it's very easy, like in the hospital. Then you love each other, you hold on to each other. But when Klal Yisrael already was gone, they were gone from the Yam Suf. They were sitting there almost a year's time by Har Sinai. I think less 10 days, a year, less 10 days. Kish Echad, believe Echad, not so pashut. People can relax. We don't need each other so much. They could know how to fight, machlaikas. Much easier to have machlaikas then. Sabtans, the Heilige Torah, Vayichan, Sham, Hahar, even though they were chilled, they were relaxed, they were fine. It's still Kish Echad, believe Echad. That's the Mila. Jumping into the Yam Suf, being in Mitzrayim, it's not a raya that you have Vayichan, Yisrael, Neged, Hahar. It's not a raya. I think this COVID-19 now, this matzav, if we could tie it into Vayichan, Sham, Hahar, is a matter that we should all go away with something. Look how many people are with Nifter, Gedolei Yisrael, the Shem's to Yidden, some people sick in hospitals. And we all were together for a few months' time, we're still together. Little arguments here and there, but Klal Yisrael is together. We're in Eis Sarah, what's going to be? No weddings. There was the other day, Shloime Dachs, Philadelphia Yeshiva, spoke by Zoom, of course, by Zoom or by phone, by conference, I'm not sure how he spoke. About 150 girls he spoke to. He spoke to a conference call. 150 girls who were all callous. They're facing up to the fact that their sisters who got married last year won't have beautiful weddings. And their sisters getting married next year are not going to have beautiful weddings. A girl waits her whole life. She waits her entire life for a chasana. And suddenly there's no wedding. There's no Sheva brachas. The stress is on the couples. And he gave, of course, Rav Shalom, this terrific person. He gave all the chinuch. With all that, it's a problem. People, they sort of wait for Levias. No one waits for Levias because they won't be there at the Leviah. Maybe the Nisham is there. And suddenly, the Minsker Rebbe, there's Leviah, imagine the Minsker Rebbe, the Heilige of Minsker Rebbe, the holy person that he was, his chesed, his Torah, his atava, what he was, had 10, 12 people, 15 people. Agud Yisrael of America made a hesped for the Minsker Rebbe. There were over 55,000 separate individual call-ins to hear the hesped. But no Leviah. But you know what? There's one Klal Yisrael. Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Hahar. One Klal Yisrael, the Eis Sarah. We have to go away with something. That one day we could say, this year is 2020. 2020, Lemisparam, the Gaisha calendar is 2020. 2020 also is the best vision in the world. The best vision one can have is 2020. Do we have clarity of vision right now? I don't think so. Do we have any clarity of what's going on? We don't know. We don't know what's going on. But I said to my Talmidim in the yeshiva, I'm going to them and I talk to them on Zoom or conference calling, my shmusim that I do on Fridays, conference calling. And I said to the Bachram, let's say I said to the boys who are 15 years old, 50 years from now you'll be 65 years old. Whether 20 years old, 45 years old, you'll be 65 years old. And your grandchildren, Mitzvah, will all be married, Mitzvah Hashem. Your grandchildren are going to ask you, tell us what it was like in the year 2020. Mashiach should come first. Tell us what it was like in the year 2020. Maybe then we'll have clarity of vision. Maybe then we'll have clarity of vision. To look back and say, you know what? Hashem sent us tremendous design. Why, what, when, where, we'll never understand, but there's Rabbi Shalom up there. He sent us a tremendous design. The design was, can you overcome the Satan and the Yitzhar? And we did. The Torah being learned all over is incredible. How many daf yomi shurim are being given on Zoom or on conference calling? How many yeshivas are learning on Zoom or on conference calling? How much Torah is being learned? So you're going to say to your grandchildren, I tell the Baruch Yeshiva, one day you're going to say to them, we lived through 2020 and we came out shining. We didn't let the design get in our way. Are we going away with something? We all care so much about our grandmothers and grandfathers who are living all alone. You know how hard it was this year for the thousands of widows, Rahman al-Islam, who were sitting by a Seder a whole Pesach without children, without grandchildren. You know how difficult it was? And they did it. They persevered. And we felt bad for them. We have all those videos we saw with kids coming and standing on top of cars and singing and dancing. But when the kids go back home, and Baruch Hu Hashem and Baruch Ma'ariv begins, women sat by themselves by a Seder. By a Seder. Imagine a Seder. It's Yontif of Pesach. The Yontif of Pesach is a family Yontif. So we cared about that, right? But when you go back and care about our grandparents the way we should when this COVID-19 finally ends, I asked the Bachram Yeshiva, I begged them for years, write letters to your grandparents. One Bachar says to me, when I make these campaigns to write letters, first of all, the email took away the beauty of letters. Email has robbed us of the beauty of letters. I have letters in my house that are incredible. I'll tell you about one in a minute. So beautiful. Did you write it? I said, then write letters. One boy says to me, a young kid in 6th grade, he says to me, I have 11 grandparents and great-grandparents. How can I write? I said, this is your problem, Nebuch. I said, I grew up in a dor without grandparents. I grew up in a generation without grandparents. In my class in Torah Da'as, there were 35 boys in the class. Could have been 140 grandparents. There were 10. Mostly from a couple of families. I was Zeicha. My father was an American and went to learn in Europe. He was an American. So I was Zeicha to one grandfather. My grandmother already passed away. My other grandparents were gone. Hitler Yimachshmei took care of them. We had no grandparents. You have a problem. You have 11 grandparents you have to speak to. That's your problem. And what do we do? What do we do? We forget about them. Do we visit them enough? Some of us? Does guilt send us sometimes, or do we visit them enough? COVID-19 is over. Hey, the problem is over. We're all comfortable now. Can make sure that at least once a week your children call. I want letters. The kids in my yeshiva that write letters, their grandmothers tell me I save them in my night table. When I get down in the dumps, I take out my grandchildren's letters. Can we make sure today that every one of our children or grandchildren are going to write letters to their grandparents? Can we make sure? Can we take something out of here? I was learning in Philadelphia Yeshiva in 1995. I'm sorry, it was in 1965, many years ago. I was there a month and my father was suddenly nifta. I had to go back to New York. Young kid, got to go back to New York. Wasn't easy, but there's one treasure that I have. I was a little bit homesick at the time. A little bit homesick. So my father, phone calls were very, very expensive. I remember my grandfather was nifta. We had to call my grandfather. My grandfather lived in Eretz Yisrael. My Zayda moved to Eretz Yisrael in 1948 with his second wife. And we had to tell my grandfather we couldn't talk to him. It was $20 for 3 minutes. Today it's cheap. Today's not. You sit in the car, you're driving on the way to the mountains, and you can talk to someone next door. In Eretz Yisrael, 5,500 miles away, you're talking next door to them. It's too expensive. My father used to write 4 letters a week to my Zayda. And he'd ask us, Kimmelach, to write once a week. And we'd say, Tati, what should we write about, Daddy? He'd say, write what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and supper, write who your classmates are, write who your friends are, who's your Rebbe, who's your teacher, what you do, how you play ball. I want Zayda to feel like I'm here. And we used to write letters. And today, kids, letters? What letters? I say, why it's called an envelope, and a postage stamp, and you put it on, and you hope it gets there eventually. And you put it on, you write a letter, 10 lines to you. But they live near me. I visit them once in a while, not often enough. They admit that, the boys. I call them, but the call is gone. Write them a little letter. Are we going to treasure those wonderful grandparents of ours? Like we treasured them this year when we couldn't see them on the Yontif of Pesach? Are we going to let COVID do something to us? Going back to my father. My father wrote me 12 letters in the 30 days I was in Philadelphia. 12 letters. At night of chizuk to me. I published a book about my parents. I wrote the author, put it together. She insisted on putting in some of the letters. To show, a young boy, it doesn't matter. It can be homesick a little bit, nothing wrong. And there's one letter there written on November 9th, 1965. My father was nifta on November 16th, 1965. November 9th, those of you who are sitting in the audience right now, or wherever you're listening, those of you who know, those of you who are listening and are watching today's program know there was a big day because of a blackout in New York. For hours and hours on end, there was no electric and no power whatsoever. My father still wrote me a letter. I know for 2 reasons. 2 reasons I know. You know why? Reason number one is because my father wrote me the letter. There's a blackout. And I'm writing you by candlelight. The second reason is because there's some wax on the letter. Some wax dripped down on the letter, and I have those letters. I have those letters from over 50 years ago that my father wrote me by candlelight to give chizik to his son Yankala. I have that letter. What are we going to take away from COVID-19? What are we going to take away from all this? Of course, remember that people who are nifta, but time goes by, you forget. Are we going to change as people? Are we going to be now a real Vayichan, Sham, Neged, Hahar? Can we really be one nation, one people without talking Hahar on each other? Are we going to worry about our grandparents? Can we make sure we go away with something, with a tachlis? Vayichan, Sham, Neged, Hahar. That's the theme. Rabbi Tara gives the Zang to put this all together. That's his theme. Are we to make a real Vayichan now? Can we finally do that? Not and let our petty differences go away and forget about it? The great Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, We celebrate Lag Baimer and Miron. This year was not the same celebration, obviously. What did he do with the 12 years that he's put away in a cave? He was quarantined in a cave. And you know what we have because of that quarantine? You know what we have because of that quarantine? You know what we have? We have the Zohar HaKadosh. He and his son Rabbi Elazar wrote the Zohar HaKadosh with the son in there. Rabbi Shimon Yochai Sefer during the quarantine. We've been quarantined. Now our Zaydas and Babas are quarantined. Grandparents can't go out anywhere. People are going nowhere. There's no weddings. There's no levi's. There's nothing. What are we taking along with us? What are we taking along with us? From the quarantine, are we going to grow as people? Rabbi Shimon Yochai was quarantined, Rabbi Say. He was quarantined. Ladies and gentlemen, he was quarantined. And we have, because of that quarantine, we have a Zohar HaKadosh. Are we going to have Vayichan and Sham Neged Hahar? You know what it means take care of grandparents? How lucky we are. We have a Shabbos and a Yontif that grandparents can come. We can go to visit them. Do we feel that? Or we're going to go back being, grandparents. Somebody once told me, I used to go, I had an uncle Moshe and Aunt Lee. They lived not far from here. The senior living center. We used to go, my wife and my kids, many, many years ago, to visit them every Friday. We'd come around 4 o'clock on the long Fridays, and you'd see people standing by the door from 4:30 on. 5 o'clock was supper. What are they waiting for? The line was forming there to go in and eat supper. And I would sit and we would sing there. We taught our kids to sing and they entertained the old people there. And how many Jewish old people would say, I don't see my children twice a year at Thanksgiving. I suppose these weren't I hope they weren't Orthodox people. I hope not. I hope they weren't Jewish. I hope it was no one. I only see them Thanksgiving and Mother's Day. Are we going to remember this Pesach we put our grandparents through? Living alone like that, or are we going to do something with it? Are we going to take along COVID-19 like the Rabbi Shimon Yochai wrote the Zohar HaKadosh? Are we going to do something special? When we have a chance to pay a Nichum Avelim visit, which means so much, are we going to go be Menachem with somebody? When we have a chasana, someone's going to a wedding. Oh, I hear another wedding, I can't go. Or we're going to go be Sameh after Chassan Kala because it'll mean something to them. You know what it means when you go sometimes? The Gemara says the Talmud Chacham has to have a Shmini Shebeshmini. So Gaiva, I always wondered why. Why does the Chacham need to have a 1/64th of Gaiva? Gaiva, 1/64th is a very small amount. But you know what? What do you need it for? Gaiva is terrible. Kosh Baruch Hu says, Ein ani v'hu yichol lo b'dira achas. I try to menachem over all the parents now Yeshiva. I'm going to take it quickly because I'm running out of time. The fellow taking the video is telling me I have less than 10 minutes left. So, there were 2 women sitting in Yeshiva in Brooklyn. Normally I fit it in, to the schedule that I have. And I had one free night and 2 women sitting in Yeshiva in Brooklyn. The whole day was thinking, should I go? Should I not go? Should I not go? Not because women and men, I just was tired. Should I go home the whole day? I walked out of Yeshiva, beat 17th Street into my car. I could go left home and I'd go right to Brooklyn. I went right to Brooklyn, Baruch Hashem. And I arrived in the first house 8:30. 8:30 I walked into the first house. And the lady that was sitting Shiva there, she stands up, Malay Kamasa. When I walked in, Rabbi Bender's here. No one was in the room. She tells me all about her father who passed away, was a Holocaust survivor. And I left a half hour later. I expected to sit by women. I go in Momi Shur. I go in and say, it's hard to sit amongst women only. It's very difficult. There's nobody there. I sat there for a half hour, listened to her, and I left the house at 9 o'clock. Prime time! Nobody came. I went to the second house in Flatbush. At 9:15 I got there. Oto Davar, the same thing. I go there. And I sit down with the lady over there, and nobody. One lady walked in the middle to say, do you need something on the block? I walked out of there. I said, no, Yankel, you blew it. You almost blew it. You almost missed the Nicham Avelims. Imagine. Look what you did. You were the only one there for a half hour in each house. Then it hit me. You know, we have to have a Shmini of Gaiva. All of you out there, we are all important. Not for ourselves. I know what I am. Nothing. I know who I am. But the other guy thinks I'm something. And you mean something. When you think about Nicham, don't think, should I go? It's not, the whole day I was thinking, should I go? Should I not go? I'm tired. I'm this, I'm that. Think about what it means to the other person. No Nicham, and people feel bad. They call on the phone, whatever they do. Could we become better people? Could we take out this quarantine time and say we're going to become better people? And you realize what's important? Try to compliment people, call up and say thank you to people. Not to get depressed, chas v'shalom. It's hard. One, we have to compartmentalize the Tsar. We can't forget the Yisrael, the Tsar for those who passed away, the families that are distraught. I'm active in an organization called Links and Samchenu, a widows organization. In Links organization, there are over 220 new Yisomos, girl orphans who got added to the Links rolls. Links, Mrs. Sarif Kakon, a special lady. And especially as they run Samchenu, you know how many widows were added on this year to Samchenu? You got to be nice to oil with all these people. We're Chmano Litzlan and the CSO, but at the same time, you got to be also. I'm here to be Eved Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're here to do what you want. You have a plan. We're not sure, but there's nothing wrong with compartmentalizing. You got to feel the CSO. I say to all of you one message. I was told I got to stop in a few minutes. One message. Let's take away something. Let's take away something, please. From this COVID-19, a message or something. We have to change to become better people, to care about others. Ish Echad, believe Echad. Then you run to weddings, then you run to Levias, you run to Yichum HaBeilims, and you run to help people, and you run to do. And we worry about our grandparents, our elderly. I hate to say this, but the world today, I think when Obama was president, they said like 75-year-olds, nope, That's it. Someone had said something then. By us? Zikna, you know what Zikna means? You know what it means by us? It means an older person. What it means that their hearts we have to have, and they save a token, a person turns 70, whatever. You have to stand up for the person. We respect older people. What are you going to do about it? I say to all of you who are taking time out of your day, I'm taking to all of you, let's take something that we want to improve in. Let's become one nation. Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Hahar. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. Hatzlacha, have a Chag Shavua Sameach, have a happy Yom Tov. You got to try to be happy no matter what. And enjoy your families, enjoy whatever you can do, and help another Jew. Help Nachayit. A good Yom Tov.